Okay, second video on Gustav Stresemann, this time on his work as Foreign Secretary. Obviously just in time for Year 11, your real exam, and Year 10, obviously your end of year exam is not too far away either, so just in time for that. Just before I get down to it, a couple more shout outs that have been requested because they weren't on the last video, so a shout out here to Peyton, to Hannah and to Amir. Big shout outs to you guys, again thanks for watching. So Stresemann and his work as Foreign Secretary and his foreign relations, he does three major things really that you need to know about, or he has a responsibility for three major things that you need to know about when he's Foreign Secretary in order to improve Germany's relationship with other countries around the world. And they are the Ilocano Pact of 1925, Germany joining the League of Nations in 1926, and the Kellogg Breond Pact of 1928. So, the Ilocano Pact, 1925. What is it? Well, the Ilocano Pact was an agreement, or a series of agreements actually, between 7 countries. Those countries were, in case you want to know, Germany, France, Belgium, Italy, Britain, Czechoslovakia, and Poland. And they essentially all agreed to, as it says here, settle their disputes peacefully and avoid military conflict unless it was in self-defence. So it's essentially a peace agreement between these 7 countries, I say. Avoid military conflict unless it's self-defence and, you know, try and keep the peace, basically. Try and keep the peace in Europe and settle disputes peacefully. Germany, in particular, because that's obviously who you need to focus on, Germany also agreed to accept its new western borders that have been agreed at the end of the Treaty of Versailles. Because obviously there've been, you know, quite a lot of upset about that. You know, Germany losing land and having to give up Alsace-Lorraine to France, for instance. So they agreed to accept those borders, and as a result of that, France and Belgium left the Ruhr. So that was part of that agreement. So, which obviously they'd invaded in 1923, of course. Now, signing the Ilocano Pact, there you go, also made Germany's joining of the League of Nations more likely, because obviously Germany are now dealing or involved in international agreements with other major countries like Britain, like France, etc. So it made it more likely for them to join the League of Nations. I guess the key thing to take from this, the Ilocano Pact, is that Germany were, for the first time in many years, first time really since before the war, before the First World War, being treated as an equal among the other European powers. It wasn't all good news. There were many nationalists in Germany who disagreed with Germany signing or being part of the Locarno Treaty because they saw it as Germany accepting the Treaty of Versailles. Because obviously, as I say, the borders part of the Treaty of Versailles, that's what they're agreeing to as part of the Locarno Treaty. So it's like, well, hang on. We don't like the Treaty of Versailles. It was a shameful diktat signed by the November criminals, and here you are, you know, agreeing to it, kind of acknowledging it that it should exist. It shouldn't exist, so we shouldn't be doing any agreements of this nature if it involves accepting the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. So it's not completely universally accepted. There are protests in Germany against the signing of the Locarno Treaty. Obviously, as I say, the advantages to it are that, as I say, Germany are being accepted and treated as an equal among the other major European powers. But, as I say, there are definitely some downsides to it, particularly domestically, because a lot of German citizens really don't approve of German acceptance of the Treaty of Versailles as part of the Locarno Treaty. Hope that makes sense. Next, speaking of the League of Nations, I was mentioning before, you've got Germany joining the League of Nations in 1926. Now remember that the League of Nations was a new international organisation that was set up in January 1920 after the First World War. Basically as an organisation that tried to maintain peace or avoid war. Not too dissimilar from the United Nations that we've got now. Now, Germany had been excluded from joining the League of Nations when it was established But in September 1926, Stresemann persuaded the other great powers to allow Germany to join. Now, not only were Germany allowed to join, but here's kind of the significant part of it, they were also, there you go, I got the paper for you, they were also given a seat on the Council. Now, the Council of the League of Nations was the most important part. They made all the most important decisions. So clearly Germany were, again, regaining some status, and again, they were being trusted and treated as equals. So that, again, is another essential part of Stresemann's work as Foreign Secretary. He's getting Germany trust again and being treated as equals. Obviously, this joining of the League of Nations, tied in with the Ilocano Pact the year before, shows that, again, Germany are being, as I say, trusted, treated as equals. That's, pretty significant. Also, another advantage to this for Stresemann and for the Weimar government was that it increased confidence in the Weimar government. Because again, it's the Weimar government that have done this, and more moderate people in Germany anyway are saying, well, you know what? Maybe the Weimar government aren't all that bad. They are getting Germany back to some form of status. Obviously Germany had been an incredibly powerful and important nation before the First World War. Obviously, after the First World War and after the Treaty of Versailles, they've been essentially crushed and really kind of left to really suffer. Now the Weimar government, at least according to some moderates in Germany, are trying to get Germany back to, as I say, its former status, or close to its former status anyway. But there is, just like the Locarno Treaty, the Ilocano Pact, there is opposition. And that opposition is that some Germans saw the League of Nations as a symbol of the Treaty of Versailles. So just like the Locarno, opposition to Locarno, where people were saying you shouldn't be accepting this because it's acknowledging a term of the Treaty of Versailles. The League of Nations, the whole idea of a League of Nations, or the proposals for the League of Nations, have been suggested or brought up at the Paris Peace Conference, which is obviously where the Treaty of Versailles was negotiated and signed as well. So therefore, many Germans associate the League of Nations with the Treaty of Versailles. So again, if you are joining this organisation, Germany, again, or the Weimar government anyway, it seems to us as Germans that you are accepting the Treaty of Versailles again, and we don't accept the Treaty of Versailles. It's the shameful diktat. It's the thing that is causing all the suffering in Germany. So again, there's opposition, much like there has been with the Ilocano Pact. There is opposition because the League of Nations is very much associated or seen as a symbol of the Treaty of Versailles. And finally, you've got the Kellogg-Breond Pact in 1928. Now, this involved, in total, 62 countries, including Germany, the USA, France, etc., signing this pact, the Kellogg-Breond Pact. And the aim of the pact was to, not too dissimilar from the Ilocano Pact, to prevent war by promising not to use military force to settle disagreements. So basically, using military force is very much a last resort. We will try and settle disagreements, international disagreements, peacefully. We won't, we'll try not to use military force wherever possible. Once again, this showed a very major or marked improvement in Germany's reputation and relations with other nations, other countries. Their overall international reputation, because once again Germany are involved and included in a major international agreement, and it shows that there's a modicum, at least, of respect to Germany, that they're even being included in agreements like this. Now, like the previous measure of joining the League of Nations, this gave the German public, again, more confidence in the Weimar government and the moderate parties who were in power. Again, Germany are getting back to the international status that we've enjoyed before the First World War. So again, it's popular with the moderates. Again, not too popular with people who don't like the Weimar government, who are already critical of the Weimar government, but you can't please everybody. So they are the three major measures that Stresemann is responsible for during his time as Foreign Secretary in Germany Obviously, he dies in 1929, so he couldn't be responsible for much more, didn't have much time. But they're the three things there. As you can see, there are advantages to all three, and obviously there's opposition to them as well. So, yeah, there we go. That is just over 10 minutes, not too bad. That is Stresemann's foreign relations. Obviously, you do need to know about his foreign relations and his economic policy, or his work with the German economy as well. So I think we've covered most of the key stuff there with Stresemann. I will endeavour to get a few more Germany videos done before the exams, see if I can squeeze them in. But obviously there's plenty of Germany videos for you to go at. And speaking to Year 11 in particular, there's also, remember, plenty on the civil rights and plenty on the First World War for you to go at as well. But very best of luck Year 11 with the exam. I'm sure you're going to absolutely smash it because you've worked so hard over the last 2 years and you really do deserve to do well. Year 10, obviously, I'll carry on seeing you guys. Again, if you've got any requests for videos, you can comment below and leave a request. And Year 10, obviously, when I see you, if you've got any more requests, not just for shout-outs, you can request some more videos from me and I'll see what I can do. But thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I will see you soon. Thank you.